Hello and welcome to this video. I'm going to be discussing the Nice Bus fall schedules. Now, I know the Long Island Railroad made some minor schedule, but it's very minor. I'm not going to go over it, but the changes at Nice Bus actually are kind of major, so we have to go over them. It's important. They do start on September 7th, 2025, and some of them are. There's a lot more bad than good in in this in this round of changes. So. We're going to go over their highlights, and then we'll look at to compare the schedules. All right. So the Hillside Avenue routes N22, N22X, N24, N26, N1, and the N6 and the N6X in partnership with New York City Department of Transportation and MTA, a new 24-hour camera-enforced bus lanes west of Springfield Boulevard will improve speed and reliability. And they're going to be making changes to the stops, I think, as well, over there as well. In Nassau Community, so this is the big change here. The N16 is going to be split into two different types of variants. The daytime N16 local and express service will be combined into the N16C with new routing to and from the NCC campus, providing 20-minute service all-day frequency to and from Hempstead. So I guess maybe that's added, all right, added service compared to the half an hour that they used to have. All right. However, on the N1, the 45-minute headways have now been increased to 60-minute headways. Saturday trip frequency adjusted to 60 minutes. Trip frequency on the N6 and N6X at night between 2 and 4 a.m. has been adjusted to 60 minutes nightly. I got to take a look at what it was before. I think it was 45. And express stops added at or near Cherry Valley Avenue. So the N15 and the N35 also going through changes. The weekend schedules are being coordinated. So alternating weekend N15 trips run Long Beach Hempstead. So they have some alternating short runs. For every other trip will end at Hempstead. For Roosevelt Field transfer to and from the N35. And then alternating weekend N35 trips will run Baldwin to Hempstead for Roosevelt Field transfer to and from the N15. Now, here's the changes on the N16. So, on the N16 north of Hempstead, daytime trips alternate between local N16 to and from Roosevelt Field via Westbury Boulevard and N16C express to NCC with new routing via Hempstead Turnpike. Every other trip runs Rockville Center to Hempstead. For Roosevelt Field transfer to and from the N27, they say the schedule is coordinated. Evening trips serve both Roosevelt Field and NCC Endo Loop nonstop. So, this is the route. So, this is the existing N16 route. All right. It says the existing N16 route goes this way, and then into Hempstead. All right. Then you have the N16C, which is going to be running during the day. That's going to be a limited stops between Hempstead and Nassau Community College. Okay. So the N22 and the N26. This is where there's some changes now. All right. For the worse on the N22. It's N22. You know, that's why I moved out of Westbury many years ago, and it's worse than ever in Westbury. They're just getting cut off, like, by the bus. They're nice is just cutting off Westbury service. So Saturday and Sunday N22 trips split as weekdays with a transfer at Mineola. So it's going to be a split on the weekends. And this is going to be a disaster because the N24 is already very crowded at Roosevelt Field. Now, more people are going to want to take the N24 because they don't want to deal with the 22 and transferring at Mineola. There are a lot of people that transfer between going to Roosevelt Field to Jamaica. And this is going to be a big mess now, all right? N22 and N26 converted to limited stop west of the Cross Island Parkway, stopping at Jamaica Bus Terminal, 170th Street, 179th Street, 182nd Street, 188th Street. So it lists all the stops here. So it's going to be converted to limited stops. So it's not going to have to stop at every stop. It's going to be like a limited. And this actually makes a lot of sense. On the N22 and the N22X and the N40 and N40X, schedules coordinate to provide combined 10-minute peak frequency. The N40X Roslyn extension, which I actually have been using, has now been paused because it all trips will run Freeport to and from Mineola Bus Terminal. Now that the schedules have changed on that, so I don't know if I'm going to be using it like I used to. I was using because the timing worked, but now they changed some of the times on them, so we'll look at that as well. So I'm probably going to have to go back to the train full time again. to get to the South Shore. N27, some trips run. Well, we'll see. I'll have to look at the N15 schedule, so I might have to do something else with that. But the 40X I can sort of understand because there was hardly anyone on it. N27, some trips run Glen Cove to Roosevelt Field. For Hempstead to transfer to and from the N16, they say schedule coordinate. Southbound is going to be rerouted off of Oak Street and Commercial Avenue and will mirror the N16 and make southbound stops into DSS. Rerouted in both directions off of Warner Avenue, stays on Roslyn Road. That's bad because it breaks the transfer to the 23. So now if you want to transfer from 27 and 23 in Roslyn, you're going to have to walk a little bit. N33, midday weekday frequency adjusted to every 60 minutes. N43 is new routing out of Nassau Community College. Northbound trips will now serve Miller Avenue bus stop bypassing the Endo Loop shelter. Southbound trips will use Earl Ovington bypass. See, Charles Lindbergh Boulevard does not stop across from DSS. So this is what they've done here. They kind of changed this around a little bit. Confusing, for sure. But I guess they don't want to have the buses go into the loop twice because it's time consuming. So N71 rerouted out of the Sunrise Mall. It's the last bus that stopped in the Sunrise Mall. As the Sunrise Mall is basically almost completely shuttered now, and it really is very sad to see. Use new bus stops at Carmen's and Loudon instead. The good news here, N88X service has been extended through Monday, September 15th. I'm glad this was done. I wish that Suffolk County did that with the 15. Unfortunately, I only used the 15 once, and I wanted to use it more, but I never got the chance. So they have fall timetables coming soon, and most of them ones are up, and I'm just going to go over them. There are only a few that aren't, but I'm going to go over the changes here, and I guess we'll start with the 22, obviously, which is going to see the biggest change. So what we're going to first do here, I'm going to go over here. Actually, we're going to go over here. I'm going to go to the regular Nice Bus page and pull up the old schedule first. All right. So we're going to do that. We'll first start with the 22. Because the 22 is going to see, if you're living in Westbury, you're going to see your service reduced quite a bit on the weekends as a result of this change. And that's why they're doing it, so they can cut service east of Mineola, and that's what they're doing. This is the old schedule I got right now up on the screen. All right. This is the old schedule. And again, that's why that is why I'm so glad I moved out of Westbury. And like I said, where I live it's more about the property than the town. Fortunately, Mineola is not seeing too many cuts from service. But Westbury, my gosh, Westbury has just been completely forgotten. I guess because Hicksville is going down, I guess, so they're taking Westbury with it. But anyway, all right, that's the old schedule. Now I'm going to go into the new schedule here. All right, so this is the new schedule. And I think they have it. Yeah, they got it. They got it like this. So we're going to have to rotate it. Let's see. All right. We're going to have to rotate it. Let's see. All right, the weekdays are pretty much the same, I think. They haven't really made many changes on the weekdays, I think. Let's see if they've made any changes here. This is terrible. 8:19. You have hourly service going west after 7:15. They've really just destroyed the 22. This is the western leg. So they are cutting service in Mineola too, I guess. There are a lot of cuts here. A lot of cuts. I can't even go through all of them. This is the old schedule. All right, so we're gonna look at the old schedule first and see. I think they actually took some more trips away, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if they did. Let's see if they did take more trips away. All right, so 7:23, 8:29. I guess not. That's hourly after that. So it's not weekdays. Kind of similar. There hasn't really been any changes. The biggest thing is the weekends. All right, so this is the old schedule when it ran. Again, the split is terrible. It's gonna the 24 is already a disaster. Now I'm gonna have even more incentive. Just if I'm coming from the South Shore and I don't want to take the 40, I'm just gonna have to get off in Garden City and walk home. That's gonna be what I'm gonna have to do because it's just 24 is gonna be impossible now. This is the current schedule here, right? The current schedule, not the new one. So the first trip out of Hicksville on a Saturday is 5:46, and then you have half hourly service. It looks like 6:17, and then there's another hour gap. It looks like. Now let's go to the new schedule. All right, the new schedule is over here, and I'll move this to Saturday. Let's see. All right, we have 5:50. So let's see. I'm pretty sure that trip is. All right, so it actually is pretty similar. I guess 5:50. But you notice now, 6:48, you have an hour wait. So now you're only having hourly service in the morning out of Hicksville until 8:16, I guess. So again, Westbury, I don't want to know how crowded those buses are. When I lived in Westbury, a lot of people take that bus in Newcastle. So I don't know what Nice is doing here. I don't have the ridership data, so I can't say anything at this point. It would have to be foiled, freedom of information. But this could be a possible Title VI violation because, again, Westbury is, especially Newcastle, is an impoverished area, and they're cutting bus service from there and making people wait longer for a bus, which is ridiculous, only every hour on Saturday morning. Perhaps the ridership wasn't strong. I don't know. So I can't say for sure. But this is all part of what's going on. So they've cut service from there, all right? And that's a big problem, and I guess it's the same going east too, probably in the morning. Yeah, only every hour until the 6:30. Then it becomes. Oh wait, this is the Jamaica. All right, so gotta go to the eastern leg of it. I hate this. This is awful. I hate the split. Yeah, only every hour until later on. So you're gonna have, and then going in the evenings. Let's see if we have any other changes. So we're gonna look at the evenings now. Saturday evening. Let's see, coming out of Hicksville. If the 8:55 trip, it goes hourly. That's not terrible, I guess. I'm looking going eastbound, though. I want to look going eastbound here. That's what I look at here. All right, so going eastbound, it looks like it's every half an hour. But the split, it definitely gives you less service. So let's see. Let's see if the times are similar here. We're looking at Saturday. I didn't even go to Sunday. Remember when they improved the service on the N22 at every 20 minutes on Saturday? They've cut a lot of service. They really have. And the times have changed too. So if you're taking the last bus, some of the times have changed as well. But I think splitting the 22 on the weekends is a terrible idea. Now let's look at Sunday. All right, this is the old schedule here. First trip out of Hicksville, 6:45, and you had half-hourly service. We had two trips, though, right next to each other, 7:14, 7:21. Now let's go to the other one. Let's do Sunday. 7:11, 7:41. Okay, so it's not terrible what they did here. Okay. Well, let's see going east. Going east. I should still stick with going west here. Going west. All right, going west. Last trip out of Hicksville looks like they're actually providing half-hourly service on Sunday night, which is interesting. You see going to Jamaica. All right, so now sometimes these don't connect. Some of them do, some of them don't. To see, but people aren't going to want to transfer. That's the thing. So that's why I think this is going to be a disaster. Honestly, I really do. Again, this is the old schedule that we're looking at here. So the split is terrible. It basically makes the lives of people in Westbury a lot harder now. Yeah, I think that's a big. Let's see, what is that? 6:49 is the first. 6:4. Okay, it's not a big deal. But then, there've been some cuts here and there, So you get the idea of what happened on the 22. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's go close this out, and we will go to. And I can't cover all the routes. I'll just cover the routes I'm kind of familiar with. I don't think the 24 saw any timing changes at all. We'll go ahead and we'll look at the 24 and see if there were any timing changes here. I don't think there were any. There might have been some. Let's see what we've got here. This is still a mistake, by the way. They have 2 Roosevelt Field, but this is from Roosevelt Field. to Jamaica. Or is this from Jamaica? I mean, it's like confusing as heck. So, yeah, see, this side is right, but this side is wrong. Okay, so this is the new schedule. Not seeing any changes here, really, any major. The times may have changed on the buses when they leave, but the headways are still kind of similar, I think. It's weekdays. Let's look at weekends. Pretty similar there. Yeah, pretty similar. Sunday. Still have a problem with it going to hourly after 6:41, but I think it currently does that already. So, look and see. Again, you got a lot of people going out of that mall, but nice. You heard the lady; she said the ridership's down at Roosevelt Field. Yeah, but you still have the workers. But again, they're not. They're again politically motivated to focus on. This is the 24. Focused on the South Shore. So let's see. Yeah, it's still the times may be a little different, but 6:13, 6:43, and then go here. Come on. Yeah, I mean, it's just the times are a little different, obviously. Okay, so get the idea of what happened there, right? So let's go back over here, and we'll go look at another route. The 40. Let's go look at the 40. Doing the routes I'm familiar with, and then if you want to see the changes, okay, they kind of did it like this again, where I got to rotate. All right. And that is the old one. All right. That's not the new one. I got to go over here. We'll go to the new one. At least this one I don't have to rotate. So let's see if there are any changes here in these times here. Let's see. It looks like there's some timing changes where it leaves is that Freeport? At least Freeport a minute or two earlier than they're allowing a little more running time there. But I mean, the times look pretty much the same, but you see the expresses are at different times. So currently we have at the 40X, which you'll see in a moment here. Let's see if they've got, I've got to go over here and I got to, all right. Oh, I see. This is the Saturday, Sunday. Okay. All right. I got to rotate it back now. All right. So, 40X. So currently they have trips, let's say in the afternoon. I've been using some of these trips here coming from, let's see, 223 out of Roslyn. I usually pick it up at 2nd Street, 248. But then the last trip is like too early. So they have it in the early afternoon. Obviously, it's not useful for people. So I can understand why they made those changes. The times are different now. So if we go to the latest one, you'll see the 40X starts later and ends later. So it's more in the heart of the rush hour, which kind of makes sense. And the difference here, no, it does not go to Rot. It just goes Mineola to Hempstead. I mean, Mineola to Freeport, all right? And it's not going to stop at the terminal. So it's still skipping the terminal. I think that's kind of a mistake, but whatever the case is, it's still skipping the terminal. All right? So the times are, again, different times on this. All right? Now, as far as the 40 on the weekends here, Saturday and Sunday, pretty much the times are probably the same here at this point. Not seeing big differences here in times. It runs about every Saturday. It runs about every 25 minutes at certain times. Yeah, but again, coming from Freeport, it looks like the times are a little bit earlier now. So they've had it leave a little bit earlier. All right. Let's see what we've got currently on the old 40 schedule here. But all right, I got to rotate it back now to get the weekend. All right, let's see. Yeah, really not many changes. Of course, they got the E there every day, which is confusing. They got the E. I think they did away with that whole E thing. That was confusing. So, there are some timing changes here and there. Not really seeing big differences here. Similar headways and stuff on Sundays, or that's Sunday headways. That's the old. This is the new. So yeah, it's similar, but again, there could be different times adjustments on the schedules here. Let's see. If there are any changes on the last trips of the day. I don't see any. Don't see any. Don't see any. Okay, so let's see. And you still have that overnight Hempstead. Did they cut that or did they keep that? Let me see. I gotta find that. Oh, I gotta go back to this. It's still there. Yeah, the overnight service that just runs between Hempstead and Freeport. That's still there. Okay, so all right. So there's your 40X. Obviously, that would think that it makes a lot more sense there. Let's go over a few more routes here. Let's do the 15. Actually, let's do the 25. Let's do the 25. Do that one next. Because there are some changes with that. Unfortunately, there's some cuts on that too. So we should go to that too. 25. All right, here we go. Get the schedule. All right, so this is the 25. Obviously, they've kind of undone. They still have a 25.58. So this is the current. This is the current, as in the old schedule. And you'll see after the 6:38 trip, it's 7:32, 8:32, 6:05, 6:38, 7:32, 8:32. So it's hourly. Obviously, they're continuing that. I don't think that changes, but some of the times change. And if you're relying on the last trip, that's a big deal. So the last trip on a weekday from Lynbrook is 10:32, going up toward Great Neck. Now, on the new schedule, there's going to be a big change here. All right, that's why people have to look at these schedules, because they changed it. Instead of being on the 30, it's on the hour now. So 7:55, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So the last bus is a whole half an hour earlier out of Lynbrook than it was before. So that's kind of a big deal. All right, they don't even bring that up. All right, and they need to, because that's a big deal. You gotta look at these people. Could be waiting there and they're like, oh, they missed it. And then they got to find another way to get to Great Neck, preferably with Long Island Railroad. Probably better off at that point. But there you go. So that's, and they do have a trip. Let's see, they do have a trip going to Lynbrook at 11:15. Gets in there. Look at they have these trips getting into Lynbrook, but they don't do a return trip back. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like they're screwing over people that are trying to go north in the evening, but the south, they continue to get all their service. It's just. It's unbelievable what's going on. And like I said, this is not nice. This is Nassau County that's making these decisions. All right, that's the 25 schedule. That is the old one that we're looking at here. Actually, we're looking at the old one. So let's go to the new one. All right, they're probably doing the same thing. That was the old one that they're doing. Let's see if they're still doing that. The last trips are earlier, but they still have trips coming in at 10:41 and 11:39. That's just dead head back instead of carrying passengers. They're going north anyway. But I guess maybe there's no ridership at that hour, perhaps, going north. I don't know about that. Weekends also have changed. Well, the weekends look like pretty much the same. 25, that's generally the time point. So 25 going up from Lynbrook. So there's some changes. And, of course, there will be a routing change eventually here. Still has Merrick and Atlantic here, because Lynbrook cried. And, of course, if Lynbrook cried, well, they've got to listen to what Lynbrook wants, because, again, those people in Lynbrook are really important with Wall Street. You can't mess with them. Okay. So we covered that. Let's cover the 15. First of all, do the 15 and the 16, then I think I'll wrap this video up here. I'm just covering the routes I'm familiar with that I use, more or less. So the 15, this is the old schedule. And actually, there's some improvements here. So this is the weekday, all right? So the weekday, you have every other trip ending. You have a lot of Hempstead runs on the weekday evenings, all right? And on the weekends, they all go through, all right? So what's going to happen is it's going to be reversed. They're going to have more runs going through on the weekdays to Roosevelt Field. I meant the weekends to Roosevelt Field. So let's look at the N15. So you'll see here during the weekdays. Um, yeah, all right. Maybe I'm getting. Let's just look at this. All right. So this is the new schedule here. On the weekdays, you'll notice that they have more runs in the evening, going all the way to Roosevelt Field now. All right, versus what they had before on the old schedule. All right. Mineola trips. Let's see. 3:59 would be the first trip out of Mineola. Let's see what they have on the old schedule, because I think there's no change there. That's the same. 3:59. No change. So, yeah, 3:59. Yeah, so 3:59 is the first trip. So those times are the same pretty much. They have 5 Mineola trips in the end. I don't think those times have changed at all. Yeah, they have not changed. All right. So those times have not changed. And again, there may be some minor changes here. The weekends are where the bigger changes occur, because now if you want to go from Roosevelt Field to Long Beach, you're only going to get hourly service, and you'll have to transfer from the 35 at Hempstead. You see they have that set up, and they should be time connections or whatever they said they would. There would be connections or whatever. So you're going to have to transfer. Of course, nobody's going to like that. But you see you have half-hourly service, and it's the same schedule. I noticed they've merged it now into one schedule, Saturday, Sunday. Another way of them kind of trying to reduce service a little bit here. A little bit. Times are a little different here on Saturdays. As you see, some different times. Again, if we go look at the old schedule here for Saturday, there was a lot more service. So they definitely probably... Let's see if they've... It definitely looks like a bigger column than me. Let's compare here. If they've done any... Yeah, it looks like they have more runs going to Hempstead. So that's basically what they're doing at this point. So that, and then the 35 is also split as well, very much like this is, where every other trip's going to end at Hempstead, and they'll be connected there. They want a lot of people to transfer, because the 35 and the 15 are going the same way. And honestly, I haven't seen... The ridership drops off a lot when you're going north in the evenings. Once you get to Hempstead, almost everybody gets off the bus. So it just the decline in the central Long Island area that you're going to have less people going up to them up there. So this is the 35 and the 43. The new schedule here, I'll just show it to you. I'm not going to do a comparison here. But you can see the 35 and the 43. I don't think there are really any changes here. This is the Monday through Friday. Let's see if there are any changes. I think there are. I don't think there are any changes. You see how you only get hourly service in Westbury now, even on weekdays. Where the trip ends at Roosevelt Field. I mean, it's pretty much all they... I remember when the 35 ran. I remember when the 35 ran every 20 minutes on the Long Island bus when I was living in Westbury. So let's go ahead and look at this. I mean, they cut a lot of service. And, they want people, this is the opposite of what we should be doing. We should be improving service, making it more frequent. But Nice Bus is reducing the service, adding transfers, making people wait longer. It's not a way to really help ridership. Not in my opinion, anyway. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's pretty much similar. I mean, yeah, it's pretty similar. No big changes here. This is the old schedule, all right? And this is the old schedule here, where you have, again, you'll have hourly service here, and then let's go to the new 35 here. Let's see what we got over here. Let's see any changes here. And, of course, they do the same thing. Same schedule Saturday and Sunday. Same schedule. So they're doing that. Even though more people probably take the bus on Saturday than Sunday, they make it the same schedule. And they're doing this a lot on a lot of routes now. They just have in gray the Saturday only. So let's see if there are any changes here. So this is the new. What am I looking at here? The old or the new? I don't even know. I think this is the old. This is the current. All right, so let's see. See if there are any changes here. I'll go to the new. Not really. Yeah, not really, just minor. Let's see, it's the new 932, 1032. Yes, more or less the same. The 43 is probably similar to as well. They probably haven't really made many changes here either. Just maybe some minor timing adjustments and stuff. Yeah, this all looks the same to me. Let's see. I go ahead. I'm going to look at the 43 and see if there are any changes on weekdays. Yeah, not really. So that looks pretty much identical at this point. So we already know about the N1. Let's see, any other routes that you want to check out? Oh, yeah, the 16. Okay, this is the other thing. 16. That's the last one I'm going to go over tonight, all right? Let's do that. This is the old one. The old one is also has the 21 in here as well. Let me go over here. We'll get the 16 because that's the other route that has some pretty big changes to it. The 16 is going to get a lot less frequent. So this is the new N16 schedule that we're looking at, all right? So you have maybe better frequency during the day. Actually, you have pretty decent frequency during the day, but at night, going from Rockville Center, after the 709 trip, it's hourly. So if you look at the current one, you'll see that it's 7:33, 8:15, 9 o'clock, and then it goes to hourly. So it's going to be less frequent. And again, you're seeing longer waits for buses at certain times of the day. Obviously, doing this at times when there's lower ridership. Obviously, they're trying to save money. Again, this is not a way to encourage people to take the bus, but they say that they're not really making. Overall, it's staying the same. They're just changing the allocation of service, but it just seems to me like we keep getting less service with every schedule change, and nobody really investigates that. There really needs to be investigation into that, in my opinion. But this is what we have here. So this is the old schedule. And the old schedule had the last trip going out of Rockville Center at midnight, which is a little ridiculous. Let's see. I think they might have changed that now. Let's go to the new one. The last trip is now 11:10. All right, so that's a little more realistic, I think. Considering that, I mean, why were they getting such late service? That's not right. So that's kind of a reduction they needed to make. And the 16 isn't that crowded at night. I've taken it. It's not that crowded at night. So it definitely. But again, it's just what happens is cuts beget cuts. It's not crowded, and then you're gonna make it less often, so less people are gonna take it. And now the 27 also undergoes some changes here. I'll just briefly go over that. A lot of the trips, some of the trips are going to start at Roosevelt Field, start and end at Roosevelt Field now at certain times of the day. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So I think that's all. I've covered a lot of it, so you can go and look at it all yourself and see for yourself. I'll put the links to the page where you can look at all these timetables and let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously, I think we should be improving service, not cutting it, making it run less often. I think the worst of all these changes they're making is with the 22 and splitting that. That's the worst thing. Because there are a lot of people who take the bus in Westbury, especially the 22, and what they're doing is just absolutely ridiculous. And maybe it's changed. Maybe less people take the bus. I think a lot of it has to do with the downfall of Hicksville. Maybe Westbury, less people using it. I don't know. I haven't been that way in a while. But I don't, you want people to take public transportation. You want to make it as convenient as possible. And honestly, when Suffolk County made their changes, I think they made their changes, and they stuck with it. They're not changing their schedules every 3 or 4 months like Nice Bus does. It upends everybody's plans. You have something that's set a certain time, and you're used to that, and then they change it constantly every 3 months. It's not. They need to stick with it. It's not making all these radical changes all the time. This is a problem that I have with Nice Bus. Obviously, if we had Long Island Bus here. The MTA that existed, let me just say lastly, before I end the video, the MTA that existed when Long Island Bus was around does not exist anymore. We have a much more corrupt MTA. And I'm not sure if they would be able to do it better than Nice Bus at this time. But back then, the MTA definitely, we had a much better service on the Long Island bus than we have now. We have a lot less people using the bus. We have more traffic on the roads. Exactly the worst thing we have to do. But unfortunately, the MTA itself now is very corrupt, perhaps more corrupt than Nice Bus is. So unfortunately, we're seeing that, and I don't know if they would act. You've seen how they're messing up the bus service in the city now, and Queens bus redesign and all that other stuff. So they're just trying to force people out. It's all just part of a bigger plan that's going on across this state, as you know. So anyway, that is all. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.